I guess we need a motion to approve the agenda.
So moved, Madam Chair.
Have a second?
Second. Ms. Madison?
Fields,
Yes.
Creekmore,
Yes.
Johnson,
Yes.
Lastly,
Yes.
Wheeler.
Yes.
Motion passed.
Okay, thank you. Item one, we're gonna be talking about dress code, and, guys, we've got a whole group from Jellico, we've got Jellico High School students and Campbell County High School students, and they have been working diligently on school dress code. And they've been doing a really, really great job, and they're gonna present to you the progress that they've made so far with the school dress code and some things they'd like to see done.
Chairman, can I say something
Yes.
real quick? So before I get beat up, the dress code, I wrote the policy, well, kind of. The policy that was presented is actually Knox County's policy. So what you all are discussing is exactly the dress code, essentially verbatim, for what Knox County students are expected to adhere to. I was really passionate, and I appreciate that Chairman Wheeler was also very passionate about getting student input. I never thought that the version of the dress code that was initially proposed would be the one that would be the final result. The intent was always to get student input involved in the entire process and work with students hand in hand to figure out something that's a win-win solution for everybody. So I just wanted to say that before we got started, and thank you all for your all's commitment to trying to figure out something that's going to be best for all our students.
And Brandon, they've looked at Knox County dress code, they've looked at Claiborne County's, I mean, they've looked at a lot of surrounding
it.
county dress codes.
That's awesome.
And we've had a lot of really, really good meetings, and I've really, really enjoyed it. So, Madison, Rayleigh, you guys ready to present what you've got?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, you can come over here so we all can hear.
So me and Savannah and our other members that we had picked out, we have already went through our handbook from last year's to look at our dress code, and then we done a teacher survey. We had 24 responses from that together, all of our teaching staff, and a lot of them had said, I think we had 22 responses saying they see hats every day. Hats is something that we have a really big problem with at the high school. It's in our dress code that we're not supposed to wear them, but we would like to propose kind of a joint agreement that hats and head coverings, toboggans, and beanies can be worn in communal areas. So like the hallway, the gym, lunchroom, or like our outside areas. But to teacher discretion, so if the teacher's classrooms or they have the rule that they don't want to wear the hats, the kid takes them off. If the kid does not listen, it's kind of like the cell phone policy. One, you get a warning, you put it up. Second, you don't, the teacher takes it for the whole period. Third, they're still not listening, they're still not gonna put it up, it gets taken to the principal's office and you get back at the end of the day. So we figured students are gonna go way more with the hat policy now if they're still allowed to wear them in the hallways than if they're not allowed to wear them at all on school grounds. And then our other issue was pajama pants. Me and Savannah and the others had just kind of observed the past week, and we were seeing at least 5 to 8 people a day wearing pajama pants. We thought it was very unprofessional. I think that if you're coming to school for 8 hours a day, the least you can do is put on a pair of jeans or leggings and kind of fix up. And that was really our only problems through teacher surveys and what we had viewed throughout the weeks.
Well, thank you, Riley, good. Madison?
Now, we had a little bit harder of a time in the sense of none of us could find a concrete dress code that we've had in recent years to go off of. So, given this, we sent out a teacher survey as well, very similar to the ones that they sent out at Jellico. In this survey, we found that hoods, hats, shorts, pajama bottoms, and face coverings were some of our biggest issues. Things like face masks and ski masks, we have put to ban entirely because we see, unless for a medically appropriate reason, there is no reason why a student should only have this much of their face visible. In a classroom, in a hallway, many teachers even added on a note at the end that they felt unsafe. So we think that an outright ban on those two things would be appropriate for a school setting. When it came to hoodies and hoods, we had a similar issue with them, except for we chose that in communal areas like the hallways and cafeterias, hoods should be off. Teachers thought that it was a safety risk. They felt uneasy with a student walking down the hallway and not being able to see any part of their face again. In a classroom, it is up to teacher discretion whether or not they would like a student to be able to wear a hood or hat in their room. Hats did not have as much of a problem, surprisingly, as hoods did. Another issue that we have at Campbell County a lot is crop tops, belly shirts, and very thin spaghetti straps. So we definitely want to see more regulation on this, almost a complete ban on crop tops, and a reasonable 2 or more finger length on shoulder straps. Shorts, this is where we need help. The policy for shorts was very complicated to come up with because to us, anyways, as students, we see it very hard to have something to present that is applicable to all body types and all age groups and still be appropriate wording for an official school document. So that is definitely something we will need help with from people who are former teachers and have seen this as an outside perspective, definitely. Pajama bottoms were also a big issue. Sagging pants, we had an issue with that. We think that needs to be just outrightly banned. There is no reason for a student to be sagging their pants. Belts exist. Something we had a problem with last year, but not as much this year, blankets. We don't believe a blanket should be brought to school and worn around a person. And then any shirt with adult or vulgar content should be outrightly banned. Any bad words, any obscene pictures, there's no reason to have that on at school. One thing too that I would like to hear how you guys handle it as well is your enforcement policy as far as what the teachers and principals will actually do. Because we can sit up here and we can draft dress codes all day long, we can put it in writing, put it in handbooks, but if the teachers and principals aren't enforcing them, we're back to square one. So I'd really like to hear what you guys have on that.
That was one of our survey questions. The last question was any further comments or complaints that they felt needed to be addressed. A lot of our responses were things like, I believe there should be an updated dress code, and if there is, it should be enforced at all times. Another one was be consistent from day one and continue it. The people who are supposed to be dress coding them are our teachers, and you can't really enforce anything if the people who are supposed to enforce it aren't doing it. So we kind of had a problem with that. I had a couple say that they weren't comfortable with forcing a dress code, and that was really their only comments on that. And
I had a few of those as well.
We can't do anything really about that unless we talk to them and tell them what we feel is appropriate. And in our student handbooks, we have 6 offense rules. Our first offense is your verbal warning, you correct the dress code violation. Second one is contact a parent and then correct the dress code. Third offense is 1 day of ISS, contact a parent and correct the dress code also. Our fourth offense was 3 days in ISS or an oral day. They sat by themselves, basically kind of distancing them, and then contact the parent. Fifth offense, same thing. Sixth offense is disciplinary meeting to discuss blended learning placement. So, I mean, when we're not really having anyone follow your rules of offenses, we're having difficulties there.
Yeah, I 100% can understand that. We have very similar issues. We actually had a pretty good majority of teachers anonymously submit that they feel uncomfortable trying to enforce a dress code on students. But then that task falls onto our principals. And while, yes, it is a good thing that it's the principal's decision, you have to think of student to principal ratio, most of the time only seeing these students for 30 minutes each in a lunch period with hundreds of other students. It's very easy for things to slip through. So teachers really need to, and I think having a solid dress code that they could pull out of a file drawer and say this is the violation that you're offending, that will probably, hopefully, add some security behind the teacher that they can dress code a student, and hopefully that will get the issue a little bit more solidly taken care of.
See, our problem is too, Campbell County High School is such a larger school than what we are. We have a total of like 300 students, I think, and half of those switch to online midway through the year. So our principals do typically see us a lot throughout the days. Me and Savannah personally go and talk to our principals a couple times a day, anytime we feel that we need to. One of our principals pointed out too that they thought dress code, you shouldn't be able to dress code past first block unless a student is coming in late. Because every student that they're in the morning for first block has seen a teacher, has talked to a teacher has seen them. So if a teacher sees a discretion in the dress code, they should report it then. But if they're not, then you're walking down, because we only have 2 halls, if you're going from 100 hall to 200 hall and a teacher sees you and they dress code you there, you've done made it past first block without getting dress coded. So that was a problem too, because nobody was really enforcing that.
I find that interesting too, because we actually have it on here that we think our daily dress code checks should be during second block. Second block, you have more time, and it's different for us because we do have a larger school as well. We have a lot of kids that go off campus for Rome State classes or other classes. We have a lot of, especially older students, juniors and seniors, that only come in during second period. They don't have a first period whatsoever. So if they say, oh yeah, I've made it through first, to one teacher that tries to dress code them in second, you can see where that problem will kind of arise. So we actually believe that ours for Campbell County should happen mainly during second block. Because almost everyone statistically has a second block class.
And with our school, everyone only has a first block, because they're going for first or fourth. They don't want second or thirds. So that's a problem there too, the difference.
Well, you could leave that to the discretion of each school too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
And that's good that
yeah.
knowing the difference in the 2 high schools, knowing that there is differences going to be happening in our dress code and in our enforcements.
Yeah.
Surely based on numbers alone, you can see why there would be differences. Is there any other points that you guys would like to make, or any other things you have to input?
Guys, you did a great job.
Yes.
Definitely a work in progress, and we will be meeting next Thursday, 10 o'clock, both high schools together. So,
All right.
I want to commend you guys for your input. I thought it was interesting how the hat conversation or hood conversation was different between the 2 schools, and I wonder if that's because of the size of the school. You know, when Mr. St. John walks through Jellico, for example, he's got 300 kids that he may know a little better or see more regularly or be able to identify versus Mr. Faust with quadruple that. And so I think that was really interesting. I also want to commend Ms. Elkins. She wrote a great letter to the editor a few months ago. That is the kind of stuff that as a board member I want to see you do. I'm not going to sit here and say that I'll always agree with you, but I always want to hear your all's opinion. So thank you guys for stepping up and sharing that. That was really, really impactful. So thank you guys. And encourage students, for those of you that are graduating, encourage other students to continue doing that.
The
Thanks,
difference
guys.
in the 2 schools is the culture at the 2 different schools. Jellico's culture is blue jeans, their hat. I saw more cowboy boots up there than I've ever seen in my life. So they wear their boots. And whatever rest they might get down.
I enjoyed that you brought that point up, because that is something that came up in our topic of discussion as well, was just the cultural aspect of hats. Being schools in the South, people love to dress up in the Western style, and I think that's amazing. I love seeing a guy in a cowboy hat, can't lie to y'all. So, love it. So that was definitely a big impact on why we thought that hats in a hallway should be banned, but by teacher discussion. So a kid can still feel free to bring their hat, especially in our CTE wing, is where that really spikes up. Everybody wears their hat welding, people wear it in construction. So that's why we think by discretion of classroom will really kind of help when it comes to ban a hat, not ban a hat. That seems like a really, trying to find a middle ground.
And Chairman, if it's cool with you, what I'd like to do before your all's meeting is I'd like to take your all's input, take stuff out of this proposed policy, add in your all's thoughts, and then have a new version of it for you all to review next Thursday at 10. Would that be okay?
no.
Okay.
The only reason I say that, Brandon, is I'm really wanting them to put some stuff together
Okay.
for us, and then we'll have a preliminary, and then we'll take whatever they bring to us, and then we're gonna take that
Okay,
and do it that way, because I'd like to really see what they come up with.
perfect.
Because they've done a great job so far. If you guys, this has been the most enjoyable time I've had on the board, is meeting with these kids. And the ideas they have and what they have to say about it. Listen, I think we're gonna work on cell phone next, guys.
And they're so well spoken.
Oh, very well spoken. This is a great opportunity for them.
I just want to
And I
make,
enjoy it.
I just want to make sure that we do have a policy
Right.
prior to, say, July. That way parents that are back to school
Oh, and
shopping.
we've talked about that already,
Okay.
about having something to present to the board
Great.
before school starts, definitely for sure, so. It's not gonna be anything major to where people are gonna have to go out and get whole new wardrobes or anything like that.
sure.
So, they've been very reasonable,
Yeah.
and they've done a really great job. Thanks, guys. And I'll see you guys on Thursday,
Yes, next Thursday.
next week, not tomorrow.
All right.
Next week.